headline would be the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially being on the ballot for Hard Knocks next season, because at this point, I mean, I don't think anybody in the NFL wants Hard Knocks. The fans enjoy Hard Knocks. I like watching Hard Knocks, but as someone who is involved and knows how these players and these coaches feel about these things, I can tell you that they don't like when I'm in the locker room. They don't like at all when Hard Knocks is following these guys around for an entire training camp when they're trying to get moving. The New York Jets were forced into it this offseason. They're not fans of it. Next year, if the Pittsburgh Steelers do not make the playoffs, that is back-to-back years that they do not make the playoffs. They do not have a new head coach, and it's probably assumed that Mike Tomlin is not going anywhere. They could be on the ballot. They could be selected. I think it's a hard argument if Hard Knocks is forcing teams into this at this point. If the NFL is just saying, this is who we want, this is what's happening, it's a hard argument to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not top of that list, no matter who else is on there, especially with teams that haven't made the playoffs the last 2 years. The Steelers would probably be number one.
Right.
Pittsburgh with Hard Knocks. I mean, what would you even expect from that?
I think it would be supremely boring television that people would eat up, quite honestly. Like, at least people in this city, I think, would love it. Like, obviously, like, there's just a big enough following that, and the Steelers are enough of like a national, and I guess you could say global brand that, like, that makes him a real attractive candidate as someone who's not a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I think this would be very boring television. Like, I'm just not, and that's good for the organization. Like, they don't have any outlandish personalities. Like, Mike Tomlin would be good for a couple like funny scenes where he's like coaching people up and like has some one-liners that are nice. But like, TJ Watt's not gonna, like, he's Kenny Pickett's not Aaron Rodgers. Like, at least the Jets might not like having them around, but Aaron Rodgers is gonna give you, like, him and Sauce. I think their relationship's kind of funny, but like, Aaron Rodgers is gonna give you some funny moments. He's gonna at least be a little eccentric. Like, I can't think of anyone on the Steelers who would deliver a kind of similar entertainment value.
No, I think that maybe George Pickens would be fun to watch. Kenny Pickett is the most boring interview of all time, and he gives you nothing. Like, he doesn't walk around and like make jokes or anything. Like, he just walks and does his thing. Mike Tomlin would be great television, but at some point, like, you need other things besides Mike Tomlin. Cam Hayward might be the only one I could think of. Like, Najee would hide. He would never talk. He would almost never show face to these cameras. He would do everything he could to avoid these cameras. TJ, just like you said, TJ Watt wants nothing to do with this. Not even. Minka Fitzpatrick wants nothing to do with this at all. And the rest of them is like, there's just nobody else. There's nobody in Pittsburgh that you're sitting there and going, okay, we need a superstar to represent this team on Hard Knocks the way that Aaron Rodgers and all these. There's nobody in Pittsburgh that's going to want to do that. There's not.
There's not even like a Travis Kelce, I feel like, who would like.
No.
Like, the best guys to watch would probably be like you said, like Cam Hayward and maybe Zach Gentry. You said that before we came on. Like, those guys are funny and I think like cool to talk to, but not in a, they're going to give you great TV type of way, you know, like they're cordial and friendly and it's like cool to like interact with them, but like, it's not the same. That's not great television in and of itself.
No. Little moments here and there, you know, one hits, boom, boom, boom. Whereas in like, just like you said, like a Travis Kelce will constantly give you good television. He will constantly, like, he absorbs that light. Aaron Rodgers naturally absorbs that light and he loves it. But Sauce, the same way. Nobody in Pittsburgh's, just don't want that. You know, they just don't want anything to do with that. Most of them are shy guys. Like, they know how to talk to the media, but they don't, you know, they do it because they have relationships with us and they're like, okay, like, you know, we understand. They get what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's the other way around. Whereas in Hard Knocks, it's like, do something television worthy. And you're just like, no, thank you. I'm good. And Mike Tomlin is like, you know, Latrobe would be a really good one. And it'd be cool. The atmosphere would be awesome. Yeah. But at the same time, like, dude, Mike Tomlin is not the same person in training camp and if we're being honest, like, I don't even pay attention to Mike Tomlin during training camp because he's got nothing to say. You know, he gives you very bare minimum. He fully understands that this is training camp and it's not in season. Whereas in like, if you caught him like walking through the locker room, like we've seen him, you know, sometimes he walks into that locker room and he's just yelling, you know, and doing funny things. And you're just like, oh, this would be good. You're not going to get that in training camp, you know, like you're not going to get any of that because it's on a field and then everybody goes and eats food and goes their own separate ways and does their own, you know, meetings and so on and so forth. Just bad television, man. Hard Knocks would be.
And I think this year in particular wouldn't be that entertaining. Like I think last year you could make an argument that there would be some like, you know, you got all the rookies, you got a quarterback battle, you know, there was some interesting stuff going on. You know, Jalen Warren like breaking that, you know, that stuff would be interesting. I can't say the same for this year. Like the roster is so set, like it's really just everyone waiting on this team to actually hit the field and see what they can do against real live NFL competition. And that doesn't happen until I'm not a Hard Knocks guy, I gotta be honest, but like
I barely watch Hard Knocks. I watched Hard Knocks the in-season one last year.
I was good with so do they follow them through like this Jets one? They're gonna follow them through the whole season, or like do they?
No, just training camp.
Yeah,
which is that's where I think it ends. Like next year, like say the Steelers don't make the playoffs this year, next year they get tossed on Hard Knocks, and you know I don't want to spend like the hypotheticals of Hard Knocks for the Pittsburgh Steelers are slim. I get it, but say they don't make the playoffs this year. The next year, the storyline is the Steelers are coming back. Like, you know what I mean? They're working. It feel kind of like a last chance. You know, like this is it, man. We got to come back. We got to make the playoffs. Blah, blah, blah. It would be so hyped during training camp. You'd get to a point and then you'd break off. And then you'd have to remember that it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, which means they get almost no national attention unless they do something terribly wrong. But besides that, like nobody's going to pay attention to this team. You know, like the Steelers fans are going to pay attention to this team and that's going to be awesome. But the national, like people will pay attention to the Jets. You know, people will pay attention to Aaron Rodgers. The Pittsburgh Steelers do everything in their power every single day when they speak to the media to make sure nobody cares about this team outside of playing football. And it'll fade off. It'd be HBO, I think, would be making it'd be a good choice on paper, bad choice once they just got to talk to me for 10 minutes and I'll tell them exactly why they should not do this and it'd be bad. I think Hard Knocks is on its way out at this point, though. Like,
really?
Yeah, like how many times can you force a team into this before all the owners at the owners meetings like, okay, we don't want this anymore. Let's, you know, nobody wants this. Let's get out of here. You know, and I get that the NFL wants it to happen, but the NFL is the owners. So, you know, Hard Knocks, I think is limited. And Art Rooney could be that one that's just like, we're done. It's over. That's the end of Hard Knocks. It was fun while it lasted. Yeah,
he would absolutely be the one to like him. Maybe not Jerry Jones, like, but he's one of those.
Oh, Jerry Jones would love it. He'd be like, bring him in.
Jerry Jones would be like, you can just have a camera follow me around all day. I don't care. But
he would be. He would be.
Yeah, no. Art Rooney feels like the type of, like you said, like a little more private. Like that's just how the organizations run to a certain extent. And they just wouldn't want that kind of spotlight. I agree.
No, I agree.